Well, good morning, everybody. So, my life has been about various events which are unusual and dangerous a lot of the time. And I wish to tell you a rather tragic story which unfolded one year.
These are true tales of my African adventures. May this inspire you, deter you, caution you, and above all, entertain you.
You know, we used to find a snake in the dry and arid regions of the Northern Cape and right into Namibia, then known as Southwest Africa, and it was called a black spitting cobra. Now, this is some snake to behold. It's pitch black, it's shiny blue-black sometimes, gunmetal grey, but basically very, very black. It's fast, it lives in almost complete desert conditions. It relies on moisture from the food it eats mainly, because where it lives it rains so seldomly, it's not funny. And they're to be found in regions where the temperatures rise up to 50 degrees in some cases. That's centigrade, 50 degrees centigrade. And also lower temperatures. And it hides in massive boulder crevices, under rocks, boulder hills, in the scrub sometimes, down rodent holes. And it was the prize for every person who considered himself a herpetologist of any type to get one of these. Also in these regions was a monitor lizard, a rock monitor, which also grew to about 1.4 meters. The spitting cobras, by the way, could do 1.8 meters, sort of 6 foot, possibly a little more than that. Quite a sight. And they spat like heck. Venom would go spraying through the air quite a distance. The monitor lizards were whitish in color, obviously to repel heat. And they had very faint patterns on the body, so it made them look like one homogeneous color, which was quite attractive. And these giant lizards became very tame. Almost from the moment you caught them, you could stick it on your shoulder and you'll just sit there. Not all of them, some of them will just bite your ear off, but anyway. So we needed and also desired these two creatures for our snake park, for our institution, and also for photography and exhibitions, discussions on ecology and all that sort of thing. That's why we wanted them. Besides the fact, as I keep saying, we really liked them. We liked them very much, and were attracted by their appearances. Well, what was tragic about the story is the following. I had a friend, the person who became a colleague, whose name was Tommy. He's quite well known in Namibia. And he was very keen on wildlife in all its aspects, and very good snake man. Good snake capturer, and he was very knowledgeable, and we were friends. And he knew another group of people, family, who were friends of his family, and also good people, and they lived in one of these arid regions. And I'm not going to mention their name because none of their family knows I'm speaking about this, and it would be unfair. They lived in one of these arid regions, and we became well acquainted with them, and they liked us too. We liked them, they liked us, and we all got along just fine. And we used to meet occasionally in these arid regions in the bush, and they would accompany us on expeditions. Some might even call it a safari, really, where we go into the mountains and the hills in these incredibly high temperature regions and look for these creatures in early mornings, late afternoons, early evenings. And so we would do this. It was one day that I received this terrible phone call, I told you once before I received a couple of very bad phone calls, which I never wanted to receive again in my life. And this is one of those types of phone calls. I received this awful phone call. And what had happened is this. This group, this family, the boys, just decided to go in search of these monitor lizards. And of course spitting cobras, although the quarry I think that day was really the monitor lizards. So they picked a boulder kopje and they started going up the kopje and checking for these creatures in the early morning sun, because as hot as it is in the early morning, they do like to come out and get their bodies up to good hunting temperature before they move off and search for their usual prey, which is absolutely anything that moves. It's the thing about monitor lizards, they don't have a specific diet. Their diet is anything. I think if you left potato chips lying around, they'd eat those too. So off they went. Now, I learnt when I was climbing as a fairly young man, I was taught by climbers at some point, some of the finer points of climbing, although I had largely taught myself to climb, and I climbed some pretty scary places. But I was taught that when going up, test your handholds. Test the rock you're going to hold on to. Make sure the rock you're going to hold on to is in place and solid and stuck to the earth, which these young boys obviously didn't know about. So up they went, and after, I don't know, it was a couple of hours apparently of searching, they came to a place where there was a massive boulder in front of them, and to skirt around the boulder you had to hold on to it. And one of the younger of the party took hold of the boulder with arms outstretched on either side in order to maneuver around it. And the boulder moved forward and it rolled, and he was directly in the path. And the boulder must have weighed, I guess, between 2 and 5 tons, and it rolled directly over him. And he was killed instantly, crushed, went over his chest and head. So you can imagine what was left lying there. It was a terrible, terrible thing. And it just shows, for all of those of you who ever climb or may climb or want to climb or go into boulder kopjes or any mountainous region where there's loose material, test the rocks, test the handholds, check that the boulder you're about to move around is stable, so that you don't have a similar outcome. It was terrible. So the phone call was to tell me what had just happened, and I was lame for the rest of the day, and I've never forgotten that. Poor chap, may his soul rest in peace.